All right. Hello, everyone. This is welcome to Thursday's training, right? Being that I listen to Zillow calls all the time, right, and doing coaching calls with you guys, I'm noticing a little bit of like a struggle with just getting our clients to submit offers, right? So, how do we get them comfortable writing an offer? Like, how do we get them to understand that contract is not like necessarily binding yet, right? So this whole deck is going to be about making it easy for your clients to start writing offers. I am going to request you guys, is this going over? To participate. It makes this so much more fun for everyone involved and it helps me out tremendously. So why is it important? So we know how the funnel goes, right? Does anybody know exactly like what the first part of the funnel is and what the bottom part of the funnel is? Oh, did I go over? No.
Meeting them would be the start, I imagine, and then the end would be closing with them. I would also imagine
Spoke with customer, right? Because that kind of happens before we meet them, right? And then what'd you say was at the very bottom of the funnel?
closing with them.
Under contract, right? We got to get them from spoke to meeting with, showing houses, submitting offers, under contract, and then of course close at the end, right? So why is it important to reach the submitting offers status of the funnel? Anthony, can you help me with this one?
Um,
If we're getting clients to submit offers, right? What does that mean as far as where they're at?
It means they're ready to go. They're ready to buy, they're ready to go. And if they're submitting offers with you, it means they trust you a
Yeah,
little bit at least.
that was it, right? So it's important to reach the submitting offers portion of the funnel because it literally shows us that our clients are trusting us to guide them through this process, right? Without trust, they won't write an offer with us. So it's super important to know why. Thank you so much, Dave. That was the perfect answer. It was exactly what I was looking for. Because if they're writing it, then they trust us, right? So does anybody here know who the offer submission king is at Oz Group? Anybody
Is it
know?
Dominic?
It's not, but you know what? Dominic's up there too. Dominic is the GOAT, right? The offer submission king is Luke, right? Luke Ninomaya. He's no longer taking Flex Connections, but he's still very much working with his Flex clients that he was working with when he was on, right? So I don't know if you guys have seen pipeline updates. Has anyone seen Luke Ninomaya's name come up the last 2 weeks? Because I have, right? So we pulled him aside. He had a 26% offer rate, right? So Joe, we all wanted to know, like, what are you doing? How are you getting almost 30% of your clients to write offers with you? Can anybody tell me what we think he might have done?
Yeah, I think during onboarding, Joe had said that he asked him this question and that he just said, I just ask people if they love it and want to put in an offer.
That's literally exactly what he does. And I know it sounds like it, I kind of made like everyone's brain explode because they're like, wait, it can't be that simple. All he's doing is asking, right? But it's exactly what he's doing. So this is the conversation he had with Joe. He said, Joe was like, hey, how are we getting your clients to write offers? And he said, well, Joe, after showing each house, I make sure to ask the buyer if they would like to make an offer on this house. Like, so simple. And I know it's like, it sounds almost too simple, but if you don't ask, the answer is always what? Anybody know?
No.
No. Who said that, Tiffany?
Yeah.
You're so smart, Tiff. Yes, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no, right? So all he's doing is saying, hey, look, you want to do this or not? Do we love it? Or are we going to throw eggs at it, right? Joe says that in onboarding. So what does it look like? How do we ask them, right? And kind of how do we make them feel comfortable from there? Autumn, you're driving. Brittany, can you read this slide for me? What's the first step?
Asking them if they want to make an offer. This next step is explaining the process to them fully, along with what is required to submit an offer. And the last step is explaining the home inspection and appraisal process and how these protect the buyer.
Beautiful. Okay. So we kind of beat this like a dead horse, but I'm going to ask you why it's important to ask the client if they want to make an offer on this home.
to know that they're committing with you and to get them further down the pipeline?
Yeah, it kind of gives us like a gauge, right? Like if they say yes, then we obviously know they love it and we're going to run for it, right? We're going to begin that process. But if they say no, doesn't it also kind of like help us figure out what is it about this house that they didn't like, right? It kind of gives you like the shovel to dig a little bit deeper to find out, okay, where's the disconnect, right? Help me understand. I want to know more so that I can show you houses that you're going to want to put offers in on, right? So it's important because we just got to find out where their headspace is. I don't know if anyone else on this call has ever, like in the beginning of showing houses with new clients, get a little bit nervous, right? You almost forget to ask for the business and forget to ask them if they like it or not. And then come to find out, like, talk to them maybe a week later and they're like, you know, I really loved that house. Is there any way we can see it again? It's been on my mind. And then all of a sudden it's under contract or like pending. Like that's the worst feeling in the world. And all of that can be completely avoided by just asking, right? Simple enough. Andrew, welcome to the call. Can you do me a favor? Can you read this slide for me? This is kind of the process of how we ask, right?
Would you like to make an offer on this home? After we view each home, I'm going to ask you if this home you would like to present an offer. This is important for two reasons. Can I explain? The great houses that are priced right are selling fast and have multiple offers. If I don't ask and we lose it, you'll be mad at me. If you're mad at me, I'll be sad. If you hate the house, we can forget about it, cross it off our list and move on. If you love it, my team and I immediately go into action to make sure we do everything possible to secure the property for you, and that becomes our number one priority immediately. Second, it's important for me to understand what would have happened in order to make this a home we would be pursuing. You see where our clients are seeing success and an unfair advantage over other buyers is when we know them so well and understand their wants and needs so well. We can bring them off-market properties before they hit the market. When we understand what you love and don't love, we can be your eyes and ears on the street. When we are not together, that is exactly why Zillow connected us. Bonus, this is when you can counter unreasonable rebuttal.
All right, perfect. Does anyone have questions on that? It all makes sense, right? Like we're really just gauging them. Want to find out like what kind of houses can we look for that you're going to love, right? If they don't love this one, there's definitely a house that we're going to love, and we just got to kind of get to the bottom of that one, right? Let me make sure this is the next slide. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so the next step we do is we explain the process, right? Along with what's required. So if they say, yes, love this house, I'd really like to put an offer in, but where do we start, right? Tiffany, can you read this?
Sure. Explain the process along with what is required from the buyer to submit an offer. Start by simply asking if they understand the process. Consumers want information. If you provide information that is valuable, you will be perceived as an advocate and a professional. This will deepen the relationship. If a client isn't comfortable writing the offer, there is an absence of value. You do this by building a rapport. How do you do that? Ask a lot of questions, build value by actively asking a lot of questions about their search and telling them things they don't know by educating and guiding them.
So guys, do we feel like sometimes it's a scary process for people to buy a home, right? Because I mean, we know way more than any buyer does, right? We know the ins and outs. We do this every day for 40 plus hours a week, right? Do we think that if we were a buyer, right, and someone pulled us aside and was like, hey, you know what, let's take 15 minutes. Let's talk about the process, kind of what to expect, right? The timeline of that, what that looks like. Do we think that that would help give them a little bit more peace of mind and like comfort, knowing kind of what's to be expected next?
Yes.
It does, right? Absolutely. Okay. We read the bottom, right? Why is it going back? I'm sorry, guys. Okay, Ethan, can you read us the script? Even though
Sure.
you're eating. Sorry.
Are you guys familiar with the process when it comes down to, or when it comes time to submit an offer? No. Okay. It's a really simple process. My buyers usually like to understand the process as early as possible. And I've actually found that they like to understand how to get out of a home purchase when they've actually are already committed to moving forward with the purchase. Can I share this with you? Sure. The offer submission process is actually fairly simple. I'll just need your pre-approval and a screenshot of proof of funds. And by the way, that's all I need from you. And then next we'll discuss the following 4 things. First, an offer price or total purchase price, the amount we'll be putting down for a deposit, the closing date, and any other contingencies other than the mortgage and the appraisal.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. Danielle's taking a call. Hey, Lori, are you able to read this?
Yeah, I can read it.
Perfect.
Okay. Once I have that info, I'll prepare a written offer. You'll like electronically sign off on it through your email, and then I will submit the offer to the seller's representative. It's that easy. The next step is the seller's agent will acknowledge receipt. Next, the seller will do one of 3 things. 1, accept our offer. 2, decline our offer. 3, respond with a counter. This all happens verbally. You don't not sign anything else until we come to a meeting of the minds on purchase price, terms, and conditions. Once we have an agreed upon a number, we redraft the paperwork, sign off, and submit to our attorney to begin attorney review.
Yeah. Do we think it could be important to like mention at this point in time, as you're talking about the process, that this isn't binding until 2 attorneys get their eyes on it? Do we think that that could be helpful to our buyers?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
right? Absolutely, because everyone hears contract and they freak, right? Because they think once they put pen to paper, oh no, I'm locked in, right? So a tip that I've always used after explaining this whole process, right, and what to expect, I've always said like, hey, listen guys, right? We're gonna get this in front of your attorney and the seller's gonna get this in front of their attorney, right? What's gonna happen is they're gonna kind of go back and forth. They're gonna make sure that you as a buyer is protected and not liable for anything that you shouldn't be liable for, right? And on the same turn, the seller's agent, the seller's attorney is doing the same, right? They want to protect the seller. They don't want them to be liable for anything that they shouldn't be liable for. So once you mention like, hey, listen, it's not official, it's not binding until your attorney signs off on that, right? And your attorney is someone that you're hiring to represent you and your best interests. So trust me when I say that your attorney will never put you in a position, right, where you're responsible for anything you shouldn't be. Cool. Does that make sense? Yeah, right? All right.
Hey, Gab, is that script, is it in the university or?
This one?
Yeah, I screenshotted it, but is it also in the university?
I'm gonna double check.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this on here though. But I think it.
Penny, I'll check with you if that's the case, and I can screenshot where you can locate it in the university. I'll update it after this Zoom.
Awesome. Thank you. I think you're the best, Lauren.
Thank you.
May I ask a question, Gab?
Of course. Who's speaking? Hold on again.
It's
Yes,
Tiff.
hold on. Oh, yes.
With regards to attorney review.
Yeah.
Are you, is the seller or the buyer allowed to change their mind or withdraw their offer for any reason before attorney review is concluded?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
They actually have that whole period. It's purposely built in so that if anything changes, right? If your buyers are getting cold feet and they find out, you know what, kind of can't afford this house, don't really love it, 100%. This is actually like one of the first places you can exit a deal, right? Like attorneys can agree if the buyer doesn't feel comfortable with some type of terms, they have every right to walk away from that, right? That's the first clause that they have, okay? That's the first protection.
Yeah.
Second item of protection is what you just had with Randy's house, right? Her home inspection. So if we get the attorneys to agree here, right? We sign off, we're good, everyone's happy. Now we're ordering the home inspection, and if anything goes off in the home inspection that like your buyer now just, whoa, I had no idea about this, right? I don't have the funds to correct this or fix this. That's another way that they can walk, right? So now we have 2 ways out, right? Do we think that that makes our clients feel really comfortable?
Yeah.
Right? Because now they're not forced to buy a house that is in bad shape, right? Does anyone know what the third contingency is that we can exit any type of contract if need be? Of course, the goal is never to exit, right? But if it comes to that point, does anybody know what the next contingency is? Anthony, I know you know this one. Are you not here anymore? There you are.
Sorry, my computer's being weird. Like it keeps cutting in and out. What were the first two you said?
AR and home inspection.
Third contingency, mortgage.
Yeah, or appraisal, right? Either way.
Appraisal, yeah.
So your mortgage contingency, can we talk, do you know what a mortgage contingency is, Ant?
Yes, so before the buyer gets, when the buyer goes into underwriting, they confirm, you know, if all their financials are good up to before closing. And sometimes that's where, you know, things could go south, let's just say. So if, you know, if they actually don't end up qualifying, maybe there's something wrong with their credit or job history, or the numbers aren't aligning, then that's another
Or
contingency.
dude, maybe they've been backed up 3 years in child support. Like,
Right.
guess where that's getting picked up, right? Within that mortgage time frame, right?
It's actually happened to me. So
I
not me
believe it.
personally, my client, but
Actually, yes, I'm talking about your client. And hey, Dave, do we know what the fourth contingency is that a buyer is able to, you know, back out of a deal if need be?
We have fourth contingency would be, well, we said attorney review,
Mhm.
inspection issues,
Mhm.
appraisal issues,
Ah, that's the one. That's it.
appraisals.
Appraisal, right? So can we explain to everyone on the call what an appraisal contingency is?
Sure, if you're getting a mortgage, the bank will send out a third party company to go out and actually determine the value of the home. The bank wants to make sure that the value of the home is enough of what they're covering. They want to cover their, you know, they're trying to never lose money. Sometimes those appraisals come back low. In that instance, you have 3 options. You can either
Wait, Dave, hold on real quick. What's a low appraisal?
so you say you came in, the listing price was 500, you came in at ask, or let's say we went up to 510. The house came back and appraised only at 500. The bank is only willing to give you $500,000 for this home. That's it, bottom line. That would be an under appraisal because you're under contract for 510.
Correct, right? And unless the buyer has agreed to waive any type of appraisal any type of appraisal gap, this could very well be a reason, like, hey, maybe they don't have $10,000 cash or a check that they can put towards this purchase, right? So that's another way. If the home under appraises, the buyer is not responsible to make up any difference unless that's what they agreed upon in the contract, right? This happened a lot during COVID, right? Where people were offering crazy offers, 100,000 over ask, 110 over ask, right? And the buyers were willing to bridge that gap between what it appraised for and what they offered. Now, luckily, kind of for us, right? It's a little bit more buyer friendly where people aren't going crazy over asking. So we're not running into that so much anymore, but it is still a way, right? If the value of the home doesn't meet what the buyer thought it was, they don't have to buy the house, right? But you do have like 3 ways. Now, for instance, ready, Dave, if it under appraises, right? What are the 3 things we can do?
The buyer can agree to come up the full amount. The seller could to agree to come down the full amount, or you can agree to meet somewhere in the middle and negotiate it that way.
Yeah, so even if you have an under appraisal, right? Don't freak out. Don't freak out. It doesn't mean that your buyer can't buy this house, right? Ping me and we'll talk through ways to get through it. But Ashley just had this happen. The house under appraised. We were able to work it out. Her buyer still bought the house, loved the house, right? So that is the 4th contingency you can use to get out if need be. I'm gonna have. Hey, Joe T, are you there? Hey, Joe, can you hear me? No, okay. Danielle, are you on a call? Can you read this for me, or are you busy? I think she's on a call. Britt, back to you, babe. Can you read this?
I was about to offer it too. In New Jersey, it is suggested by the NJ Real Estate Commission and Depth of Baking to have an attorney that specializes in real estate law to review the paperwork with you and make sure you understand what you are entering into with this purchase agreement. The process can take a few days, and during this time, you are not committed to moving forward with the purchase. Once you speak to your attorney and you confirm you understand the terms and conditions, and the seller does the same with their attorney, we conclude attorney review. At this step in the process, we are now under contract. This is the status that protects us from any other buyers while we perform our discovery inspection period of the process.
Beautiful. I think you guys understand that, right? Okay. Oh, we kind of just went over this, guys. I'm sorry. So this is again, home inspection, right? And the appraisal we talked about. Tiffany, can you read this?
Home inspection and appraisal process and how these protect the buyer. Once attorney review has concluded, we will order our home inspection. This home inspection is structural, would destroy insect, interior, and exterior. This is for your protection. Our team can recommend an amazing home inspector. The important thing to understand about this part of the process is the home inspection process favors the buyer. If this house has any health, safety, or environmental issues, we couldn't see with our naked eye, if the house is falling over or if it turns out that there are items in disrepair, we have the opportunity to address this with the seller in terms of repairs or credits. And if that isn't agreeable, we can opt to kill the deal. We will not put you in a home you do not absolutely love.
I know I usually don't ask for questions, but I'm gonna stop for this one. Any of any of the new guys who are new to us group or new on to real estate, does this make sense to everybody? Anyone have any questions about this home inspection? No, good to go. Everyone give me a thumbs up. Cool. Next. Okay, Andrew, can we read this one?
Finally, there's the appraisal contingency. This protects the buyer as well. If you are obtaining a mortgage, your mortgage lender will require an appraisal to be performed on the property. If the house is underappraised for some reason, the purchase will have to be either renegotiated, seller meet you at the appraised value, or you will have the opportunity to move on from this transaction. The bottom line is the buyer will never overpay for a home. So you can feel safe making an offer knowing that your bank will do an official appraisal to make sure your best interests and theirs are protected.
That last sentence is so important, right? The bottom line is that a buyer will never overpay for a home. And once they hear that, they kind of like bring their walls down a little bit, right? They take a deep breath. Okay, good. I don't have to buy something if it's not worth it, right? Any questions on that? Appraisals. Cool. I think Dave did a really awesome job kind of explaining that and going through it. And so our question is our last question. Is this a home you would consider submitting an offer on, right? Knowing full well the process now, do we feel a little bit more comfortable talking to our clients about, writing an offer and that it's not permanent and all of these ways and contingencies we can get out, right? Do we think that that's going to help our clients feel comfortable? Yeah, right, for sure. It shows us that we're the professional too, and they trust us. And guess what? If you can get a client to trust you, you're going to find them a home and they're going to be super happy with you're done with them. So cool. That's all I have for you guys. If you need anything at all from me, please let me know. Thank you so much for being on today. Really appreciate it. Ping me separately if you have any questions on it. I'd love to elaborate if you need or bring any clarity to it. Cool. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, Deb.